Hello everyone. Today, we're going to be seeing how slow Bonsly can beat Pokemon Platinum in a solo run challenge. Let's get into this dreaded video. Earlier in the month, we played through Pokemon Platinum with Mime Jr., and even though Mime Jr. was also a baby Pokemon, it still played pretty good. It had access to some good stats, at least for a baby. But Bonsly is not an exception to this. It's really bad. We have 50 HP, 80 attack, which I would say is pretty okay, 95 defense, 10 special attack, 45 special defense, and 10 speed. We're also in the medium fast level up group, which really isn't going to matter in the grand scheme of things. We need a very high level anyway. But I will say though, I was honestly surprised to find out we get 80 attack, and 10 special attack is definitely bad, but we're not going to be using special moves anyway. And 10 speed is just downright awful. We're never going to outspeed anything. But hopefully our level up moveset and TM set can make up for it, but in the very beginning part of the game, it absolutely is not. We start with Copycat and Fake Tears. Fake Tears lowers the opponent's special defense by 2 stages, and Copycat essentially just does whatever the move was your opponent used last. So if the opponent outsped you and hit Ember, you could Copycat Ember. And I guess that counts as an attacking move, but at level 6 we do get Flail, which it's okay, but it's not the best kind of move. And at level 9 we get Low Kick. And then throughout the rest of the levels we get Rock Throw, Mimic, Block, Feint Attack, Rock Tomb, Rock Slide, Slam, Sucker Punch, and Double Edge. And also, Bonsly will attempt to evolve if you teach it Mimic, but I can completely avoid this by just not teaching it. And besides, it's not really that good of a move after Generation 1 anyway. But if we also take a look at our TM set, we don't get that much move coverage. We get pretty much all the rock type moves, and we get Dig, but no Earthquake, which is kind of strange. And for some reason, we get Calm Mind. I have no idea why this thing gets Calm Mind, but it's not like I can use it anyway. That TM is in the Battle Frontier. But having access to Rock Slide and Rock Polish will definitely be very handy. Plus Thief is going to be good coverage for the Ghost type gym, and Dig is going to be great for all the electric types. As I slowly defeat all of the trainers leading up to Jubilife City, because I need to do all the training, I may as well talk about our ability, nature, and hidden power typing. We're going with Hidden Power Dark, so essentially perfect stats. We're never going to use this move. Our ability is Rockhead, which prevents us from taking recoil damage, so I could use Double Edge for some great damage if I wanted to. And our nature is Adamant for extra attack minus special attack. Technically the perfect nature. I guess Jolly would have been good as well, but having 10 base speed, that's not really going to mean much. That'll just give us a base speed of 11 essentially instead of 10. I hope y'all noticed my appropriate nickname for this Bonsly. Not often I deter from the regular nickname of Speed, but I felt today was a special exception. One thing I will say though, on a lot of these regular early game trainers, purposefully keeping my HP low and spamming Flail is surprisingly powerful. I can just fight this one trainer in the Oreburgh Gate with a Starly, keep my health low, only take like 1 damage from normal moves, and just one-shot things with Flail. So it's actually kind of nice to use this move. With all of the trainers in the Oreburgh Mine defeated, I go north to Route 207, and I actually train in this grass. You see, I did a lot of the damage calculations for the Elite Four and Cynthia fights. I am not kidding, I need maximum attack EVs, or close to maximum as possible. Because here's the thing, Bonsly, unlike Mime Jr., does not have access to a stat boosting move that actually benefits it. It's not like this thing gets Swords Dance, and even if it got Bulk Up, it'd be locked in the post game. But with Mime Jr., even though it couldn't get Calm Mind, it at least had access to Charge Beam for the Elite Four. Bonsly has nothing. If I don't get enough attack to one-shot things, I am going to die. So basically, I need to just EV train right here. All of the Ponyta here give speed EVs, the Starly give speed EVs, the Geodude give defense, and the Machop give attack EVs. My plan is to mainly just train in attack and in speed, prioritizing attack. And I do this EV training for quite a while. Fortunately for me, I did this run in my Discord server at the time, so at least I had people to talk with because this run was painful. And surprisingly, during this whole grinding session, I actually never once encountered a shiny. I know Scott has encountered a shiny here once or twice while doing training, but hasn't happened to me just yet. And at 1 hour and 29 minutes into the run, I actually reached my EV threshold, which is a total of 510 spread across my stats. Unfortunately, I may have fought a few too many Geodude, because I only have 250 attack EVs. It's literally 2 EVs away from the maximum amount of EVs possible that would actually affect my stats. So I'm basically going to lose 1 attack point, but honestly, I don't think 1 attack point is going to make the difference, but on the bright side, having a bunch of defense is going to be pretty decent. And 109 speed EVs, it's not really going to affect the run too much, but I mean, it's better than nothing. So now I am at level 34, let's go completely destroy Rourke. Low kick one-shots the Geodude, the Onix, and the Cranidos. Next. Now, even though I am generally way higher of a level than I normally am in this run, I still don't want to take things lightly from here. The next gym leader is Gardenia, and she uses grass types. I have a type disadvantage there, and you gotta remember, even with 109 speed EVs, I am still very, very slow. But fortunately for me, the Mars fight on my way there actually doesn't provide any problems because of my extreme over-leveling. I do have a Quick Claw as my main held item for pretty obvious reasons, and my moveset at this point is Feint Attack, Low Kick, Flail, and Rock Slide. I'm still holding on to Flail just in case it might be useful, but having access to Feint Attack, Low Kick, and Rock Slide is definitely great. Feint Attack is actually very good coverage, especially for the Ghost-type gym leader. I may have said earlier I would like Thief for it, but I actually just forgot about Feint Attack. And Low Kick is going to be very great damage for all the Rock types and in general, just heavy Pokemon. But honestly, let's not keep worrying about this for now. Let's go ahead and take on the second gym leader, Gardenia. Hopefully our high level will allow us to win. Gardenia leads off with her Turtwig, which only has 18 speed, so I can easily use Rock Slide for the one-shot. Then on the Cherub, it does outspeed, but I get a fortunate Quick Claw clutch. Then on the Roserade, it outspeeds, goes for Stun Spore, misses, and I go ahead and knock it out with one use of Rock Slide. So honestly, I think a Cherry Berry probably would have been the better held item than the Quick Claw, but hey, I'll take it. First try Gardenia, I'm still at 0 resets. Before I do anything else, I actually go inside the old chateau. I'm not going to get the substitute TM, I only came in here to get a rare candy. And with this first of many rare candies obtained, I can go inside the Galactic building and take on Jupiter. On the bright side, her Skuntank is neutral to Low Kick, but Rock Slide is going to be pretty much the better move. And at this point, we're still easily one-shotting things. I mean, it really shouldn't be a surprise, but look at how high my attack stat is. 107 attack at this point. I mean, for most Pokemon, that's kind of bad, but it's kind of surprising Bonsly has 80 attack. It's pretty much its only saving grace. Then I can head down Cycling Road, go in the little grass right here, get this hidden PP up, as well as grab these Rost Berries. Since I'm not using Substitute, I would like to have these for Fantina in case her Duskull tries to burn me. Plus, there are a couple of other convenient spots this could be helpful for. There is also a rare candy on Route 207 as well. I'm not going to mention every rare candy, but just letting you know, pretty much I'm getting every rare candy in this run because this is a Bonsly. And then once I reach Heart Home City, I can enter the contest hall, do a bit of dialogue, and I'm not actually going to go inside the Amity Square. I don't want Secret Power, Attract, or the Amulet Coin. No need for any of those today, so we're just going to head straight to Fantina. Fantina leads off with her Duskull, which is very slow, and I can one-shot it with Feint Attack. Then on the Mismagius, it goes for Magical Leaf, only doing a third, and I can one-shot it with Rock Slide. I deny the chance to learn Slam, and then on the Haunter, it outspeeds me, goes for Hypnosis. Fortunately, it Hypno missed, and I can one-shot the Haunter with Rock Slide. So yeah, I didn't really need the Rossberry here because I forgot the Duskull is slow as dirt. But it was honestly more convenient to have the Quick Claw. Unfortunately, it didn't activate in this fight, but hey, I still won. Even though it looks like Bonsly's doing pretty good so far, you gotta remember, I spent almost an hour and 30 minutes EV training. So yeah, you gotta remember that. And then once I completely destroy the rival, I can make my way into Solaceon Town, enter the ruins, and grab myself the HM for Defog. I don't care what people like Scott do, I am not skipping this move unless I have a skip accuracy move like Shockwave or Aerial Ace. I refuse to go through that route in the fog. Like, I'm sorry. But I mean, on the bright side, there are other high money items down here. I mean, I'm not really going to be buying vitamins because all my vitamins were pure natural. I got my vitamins just by killing and murdering. So we're sadly not going to be doing a vitamin of the day. But that's fine though, we'll have other things to spend our money on. But funnily enough, on my way to Veilstone, I get my very first blackout against this one black belt with a Krogunk. It actually killed Bonsly with Revenge, and that ended up killing me. So yeah, almost 2 hours into the run, I get my very first blackout. Normally, if I get a reset or a blackout on this route, it's usually on Ace Trainers Maya or Dennis, but neither one of them actually provide any problems today. I get past them scot-free. And then, in Veilstone City, I can go ahead and heal at the center, go into the department store, and just stock up on things like potions and repels. And right away, I could go take on Maylene, but the thing is, my level is slowly starting to catch up to me. I'm no longer as over-leveled as I once was, so I'm actually going to do a lot of the training towards Pastoria City. And also, when I was doing the EV training in Orberg, I actually caught a Machop instead of defeating it for an attack EV, and I actually traded it to somebody for their Abra, so I can actually use this to teleport my way back to Veilstone when I'm done with the training. Plus, on this route, I can go in this little cave right here and get myself the TM for Dig, and I teach it in the place of Flail. I'm not kidding, this might end up being close to my final moveset, unless I decide to teach Double Edge or something. Well, I take that back. By level up, I actually learned Sucker Punch, and I went ahead and taught this in the place of Feint Attack. Having a priority move such as Sucker Punch is actually going to be very useful, plus it's still Dark type coverage, I'll take it. I continue fighting a lot of the trainers in the area until I get to about level 43, and at this level, I didn't make it all the way to Pastoria City, but I do feel pretty confident I can take on Maylene now. Hopefully I don't regret this. Maylene leads off with her Metatite. I go ahead right away and use a Sucker Punch, and fortunately it works and I one-shot it. Then on the Machoke, I go ahead and use Sucker Punch to do not that much damage. I just did that for the priority, but that's fine, I can finish it off with Low Kick. Then on the Lucario, I actually get a Quick Claw clutch, and I one-shot the Lucario with Low Kick. Yeah, a lot of these fights need to rely on Quick Claw luck. I'm sure you guys aren't surprised by now. But I will say though, I think Crasher Wake will definitely be the most terrifying gym leader at this point. So far, I haven't gotten a reset on any of the gym leaders. My one blackout was to a random black belt because of a Krogunk using Revenge. And before I feel confident taking on Wake, I actually go back to Route 214 and I actually Versus Seeker grind on Collector Brady. He actually has 6 Pokemon, and they're mostly just grass types, yeah, but he actually gives very good XP yields. There's also a Pokemaniac on this route who actually has Jolteon, Vaporeon, and Flareon. I remember testing which of these two trainers gives better XP. This guy technically gives more XP than the Evolutions guy, but the thing is, it's not by much. Plus, the Evolutions trainer has less Pokemon too. So honestly, it's straight up better to fight the Evolutions Pokemaniac instead of Collector Brady. In this playthrough though, I end up fighting both of them, and that was when I was doing this experimentation. But honestly, Bonsly could use all the experience it can get. Just fight them all. I just go back and forth pretty much, because the Versus Seeker needs to recharge anyway. I continue doing this training until I get to roughly level 51, and then I can go back to Pastoria City, beat the rival, and get level 52. Hopefully inside of this gym I can get level 53 for Crasher Wake, which is actually the minimum level I needed, and I barely make it. Okay, that's good. Let's go take on Crasher Wake and see if Bonsly can defeat this water-type master. Crasher Wake leads off with his Gyarados, which activates Intimidate right away. I did use 5 rare candies before this fight to go from level 53 to level 58. Fortunately, Gyarados' Waterfall doesn't do too much, and even with Intimidate, Rock Slide still one-shots the Gyarados. And then on the Quagsire, I'm going to have to go ahead and 2-shot it with Dig, although it does hit me with a Mud Shot, lowering my speed, which allows the Floatzel the opportunity to defeat me with Aqua Jet. So yep, there is my very first reset in the run. On the second attempt, I decided to try and use Low Kick on the Quagsire instead, and after I do half to it, I decide, okay, I think now I need to use Sucker Punch, and it actually failed because the Quagsire was trying to use Yawn. So yep, there's another reset. I get a third reset as well the exact same way. It just keeps going for a turn 2 Yawn, so it's making the second Sucker Punch fail to get the knockout. And funnily enough, on my very next attempt, Gyarados' Waterfall actually flinched me, and its next one gets a critical hit, so I am actually very close to dying. But then check this out, on the Quagsire, I actually get a critical hit Sucker Punch, causing it to die in one hit, and then on the Floatzel, it didn't go for Aqua Jet, so I outspeed with a Quick Claw, go for Rock Slide, it misses, and I die to Brine. You have got to be kidding me. It takes me until my 5th attempt at Crasher Wake to finally defeat his team, and hopefully from here things will get better. Normally after we defeat Crasher Wake, we have to chase a Galactic Run and then head all the way to Celestic Town. Inside of Celestic Town there is a mandatory fight with Cyrus, but his entire team is actually weak to rock moves, so he was surprisingly easy. And even though the Sneasel has Ice Punch, which could do decent damage even though Rock is not weak to Ice, it only does like 26 damage because I still got a surprising amount of defense EVs, which has actually been very helpful in this run. And with Cyrus defeated, I can get the HM for Surf and go do a few side things. I go to Route 214 south of Veilstone City and get myself a rare candy. And then behind the Valley Windworks, I can get myself a Max Elixir, and then I can continue surfing west, head south of the Fuego Ironworks, and get myself a rare candy in the Floroma Meadow. And with those 2 rare candies obtained, on my way to Canalave City, I can actually go ahead and pick up another rare candy locked behind Surf. And by the time we enter Canalave City, we are level 59. At this point, Bonsly is slowly starting to get a lot more difficult with fights. I mean, you guys all saw it during Crasher Wake, but hopefully the rival can continue being easy like he's always been. Before I even attempt the fight, I actually go to the Fuego Ironworks to fight a few trainers to get to level 60 over a damage rounding threshold, as well as go back to Hearthome City and get the Shell Bell because I forgot. And even though the Staraptor does hit me with Intimidate, it does actually still one-shot to Rock Slide, and the rest of his team go down pretty easily as well. And now, usually one of the easier gym leaders in a Platinum playthrough tends to be Byron because his team is pretty bad, even though you would expect a Steel-type gym leader to be difficult, kinda like how Jasmine is. But Byron's movesets are still very bad, and his Bastiodon is not that good. But let's see how the fight goes. We are still a Bonsly after all. Byron leads off with his Magneton. I go ahead and one-shot it with Low Kick, but not before it hits me with a super effective move dealing massive damage. Then on the Steelix, I go ahead and one-shot it with Low Kick, which was pretty impressive. And then the Bastiodon, I can one-shot it with Low Kick. Yep, just a complete one-shot sweep, just as expected. Although it is kind of impressive Low Kick can one-shot a Steelix, because that thing has extremely high defense. And now, at this point in the run, we have to go take on Saturn at Lake Valor, as well as Mars at Lake Verity, and make our way to Snow Point City. Nothing really eventful tends to happen in this part of the run, but today was definitely an exception. I actually did get an unfortunate blackout on Saturn, but I was fortunately able to go back and actually defeat him on my second try. I didn't think of saving before him. That was pretty much the only major thing to happen, so why don't we arrive in Snow Point City and go take on Candace. She leads off with a Sneasel. I go ahead and use a turn 1 Low Kick. And even though Sneasel isn't that heavy, 4 times Low Kick, still very good. and then the Piloswine is a one-shot with low kick, and I go ahead and switch over to Rock Slide on the Abomasnow. It does outspeed and hit me for a very powerful Focus Blast, but fortunately I survive. Then the Frostlass, it outspeeds obviously, and it actually defeats me with Blizzard, and since the Abomasnow came out first, the Hail is always active, so Blizzard will always skip accuracy checks. What I essentially need to have happen is either get a Quick Claw on the Abomasnow or a Focus Miss, or just get a Quick Claw on the Frostlass, because a Blizzard Miss is obviously never going to happen. But on my second attempt, I don't unfortunately get the Quick Claw, and I actually miss Rock Slide, but I do get a Quick Claw after the fact, but it's not like it really matters at this point, and yep, Frostlass kills me again. Fortunately for me, third time is the charm. The Abomasnow actually gets a Focus Miss, and the Frostlass just wastes a couple of turns with Double Team, which is actually very annoying at this point, and it gets so close to killing me, but at the very last second, I actually get a Quick Claw clutch, and at 4 HP remaining, I hit through those Double Teams and the Snow Cloak, and actually defeat it with Rock Slide. Okay, that was pretty sketchy, but hey, I'll take it. We're almost at the end of the game. So now at this point, we gotta do the Team Galactic hideout in Veilstone, and then climb Mount Coronet to take on Mars, Jupiter, and Cyrus. And absolutely nothing eventful happens from the hideout all the way to the top of Spear Pillar after I take out the 2 Galactic runs. Before I take on Mars and Jupiter though, I actually use all but 3 rare candies on Bonsly to get to level 74. I want as high of a level as possible for Cyrus, but I still need to save a few rare candies for the League. I'm going to need an even higher level than that when I get there. And fortunately, due to the fact that Rock Slide hits both opponents in a double battle, I actually deal with Mars and Jupiter very easy, and then we can head into the Distortion World and go take on Cyrus one last time. Cyrus leads off with his Houndoom. I have to hope I outspeed. On my very first attempt here, I go for a Rock Slide, and even though I don't get a Quick Claw, at least the Houndoom didn't burn me. And then on the Gyarados, it doesn't matter that it hit me with Intimidate. Rock Slide still one-shots it, and then on the Honchkrow, I sadly miss a Rock Slide, but its moves aren't that great against me. And then on the Weavile, I will switch over to Low Kick for the better accuracy, and it is a very good thing Bonsly is not weak to Ice Punch. And then on the final Crobat, get this. It outspeeds because I don't get a Quick Claw, it uses Air Slash, which is a special move, and I live at 1 HP, but I get a flinch. I was so worried about dying here, but then at the very last minute, just like with Candace, Bonsly gets a Quick Claw clutch, and I actually beat Cyrus on the very first try. You guys saw how low my health was, right? I can guarantee you, because of all the Gyarados Intimidates that are in this run, I hope you all can see, all of the attack EVs and the defense EVs were 100% necessary. It's not like I did the training to waste my time. If I had just beaten Rourke right away and maybe trained up in the forest to beat Gardenia, this run would probably have 100 resets by this point. But you may be wondering why I haven't taught Rock Polish yet. I'm actually holding on to Rock Polish until the League, because here's the thing, I still need to keep my move coverage for a little while longer, so that's the reason I haven't taught it just yet. But with Cyrus defeated, we can actually go to Sunyshore City and beat Volkner, and then head our way to the Pokemon League. And before I fight Volkner, I just want to point out that this one trainer in his gym with an Electabuzz actually gives me a blackout because I missed 2 Rock Slides in a row, and his final Thunderbolt actually crits me. And because of that, I have to black out my entire team and go back into the gym. Dude, seriously? It's not often where the gym trainer in Volkner's gym tends to be more difficult than Volkner himself. Usually everybody's easy. But let's see how Volkner goes. He leads off with Jolteon. I still have Dig at this point, and I can use Dig to one-shot the Jolteon. And fortunately, because the Jolteon outsped, it didn't go for Thunder Wave turn 1, but it's only a matter of time until I do get hit with it. But then on the Raichu, it actually missed Focus Blast, which is very handy. Then on the Electivire, I can go ahead and defeat it with Dig, as well as the Luxray. And honestly, even if the Luxray had Intimidate, it's not like it really matters at this point, Bonsly just completely destroys his whole team, although I will mention, Focus Blast definitely would have done a huge number on me if it had actually hit. But honestly, even if it did hit, I would just reset until it missed again. Either that or I get a quick claw clutch on something. Now we have to do the mandatory Victory Road Gauntlet. Bonsly doesn't get a reset or blackout to anyone in here. It's actually very good training if anything. And by the time I get out of the Victory Road, I enter the Pokemon League at level 79. I heal up at the center, deposit my HM users just in case I lose to the rival, because if I lose to the rival, at least I can black out like 10 tiles away, so I can easily re-challenge him. I do buy full restores as well before I start the fight. Okay, rival, let's see if we can defeat you again. As part of the course, the Staraptor does activate Intimidate, and close combat only did like 60 damage to me. It wasn't really that bad. But then I sadly miss Rock Slide on the Floatzel, and it really doesn't like going for Aqua Jet at high HP, but I do miss a bunch of Rock Slides, causing my health to get dangerously low, allowing the Heracross to defeat me with close combat. But you know what, that's fine. See, I literally black out like 10 tiles away, and I can just quickly re-challenge the fight. This is actually a pretty good method of training for the league. Forget blackout training in the league, blackout train to the rival here. It's so convenient. I actually get many blackouts while attempting to do the rival fight here, but it's actually completely fine, because I need as high of a level as is possible for Cynthia anyway, because I did all the damage ranges ahead of time, so I can actually purposefully just black out here over and over again until I get to a high enough level where I can use the rest of my rare candies to get the level that I need. And by the time I defeat the rival, I have 4 HP remaining and I have a grand total of 23 blackouts into the run. So I had roughly 17 blackouts to the rival, and I get all the way to level 84. This'll be enough. Now, we can go take on the final 5 trainers. Let's do this shit. The first member of the Elite Four is Aaron, the user of bug types. He leads with Yanmega, he outspeeds and goes for double team, but fortunately Rock Slide actually hits it, which is kind of surprising in this run. And then I can defeat the Scizor with Rock Slide. The Heracross goes for close combat, which does quite a bit of damage, but fortunately because of the defense drops, I am able to knock it out. Then the Visbaquin goes down as well, and then on the Drapion, I decide to switch over to Dig because it's super effective, and surprisingly, it does not survive, and I win. Next up is the Ground type Elite Four member, Bertha. Bertha leads off with Whiscash. I go ahead and just use a couple of Sucker Punches, but then the fight surprisingly went pretty dang bad. I end up choosing to black out instead, just so that way I can keep all the experience from beating Aaron the first time. By the time I make it back to Bertha, I am at level 85, very close to level 86. The main problem though is that the Whiscash outspeeds Bonsly by 9, and here's the other thing, even without a crit, Earth Power does so much damage to me I barely live. So honestly, the main goal is just to try and just keep throwing myself at Bertha over and over until I win, and if I black out, I'll just go ahead and keep all the experience from beating Aaron. The last time I black out to Bertha while doing this training, I'm level 88. I didn't heal up before this fight, but that was intentional, because guess what? I can black out on her again, get to a grand total of 31 blackouts, and then I can use the remainder of my 5 rare candies to go from 88 to level 93. 93 was the minimum level I needed for Cynthia, and now that we are at the appropriate level, I feel like I can actually try to beat Bertha now. So let's go back to her and see how this goes. On turn 1, Whiscash fortunately went for Sandstorm, which is actually a net negative for her. Bonsly is a rock type. In Generation 4, rock types get a 50% boost to their special defense in Sandstorm, and that allowed Earth Power to not do as much damage as I had initially thought. Although it is quite annoying when the Hippowdon decides to go for Yawn on me, but I actually surprisingly get past it at 8 hit points remaining, and I have the shell bell equipped to slowly gain my HP back, and that's actually great because low kick can one-shot both the golem and the Rhyperior. And then on the Gliscor, it does outspeed and kill me with Earthquake, so I will have to reset. This is a very luck-dependent fight. Honestly, I think I should have kept Blackout training here just to gain more XP, but I'm already at the appropriate level for Cynthia. I decided to just keep trying. Besides, I just need things to go my way. And on the very next try, I finally defeat Bertha. Next up is the Fire-type Elite Four member, Flint. Flint leads off with a Houndoom. It does outspeed me, and it does go for Dark Pulse, doing okay damage, I guess, and I could defeat it with Rock Slide. Then on the Infernape, it goes for Earthquake, barely doing much damage. Those defense EVs really came in handy. And then on the Rapidash, I decided to go for Sucker Punch, and fortunately it worked. Then on the Magmorta, I do a similar thing, hit it with Sucker Punch. It barely lived, and I end up getting burned because of Flame Body, and this is actually kind of bad. But get this, at my level and attack EVs, even though I'm burned, Flareon is still a one-shot with Rock Slide. That is pretty impressive for a Bonsly. Next up is the Psychic-type Elite Four member, Lucian. Lucian leads off with Mr. Mime. I'm not going to go for Sucker Punch right away because he usually likes to set up Reflector Light Screen turn 1, and unfortunately for me, it went for Reflect. So I am going to have to let it stall a little bit as I spam Sucker Punch on Bronzong. I do decide to switch over to Rock Slide to save Sucker Punch power points, and the health does get very, very low on Bonsly on the Bronzong, but after he uses a full restore, get this, I actually get a critical hit. But it doesn't matter, the Gallade ends up killing me. What I essentially would like to happen is for the Mr. Mime to go for Light Screen instead, because it having Reflect up is very bad. And on the very next try, things are actually quite weird. It goes for Reflect and then switches out to Bronzong. That's pretty annoying. I end up getting a reset here because the Psychic that it uses actually lowers my special defense. On my third attempt, the Mr. Mime still keeps going for Reflect. I wonder if the opponent knows I have an all-physical moveset, or if it's just random between Reflect and Light Screen. It's very annoying, and the Bronzong is actually being a threat. But I actually defeat the Bronzong in this attempt right here, and surprisingly, Gallade does not die to a Sucker Punch. That is very concerning. It doesn't take me many more attempts to actually defeat Lucian. He was surprisingly hard to plan around, mostly because of the Mr. Mime using Reflect. But now with the Psychic-type Elite Four member defeated, we can now go take on the champion of Sinnoh and finally finish this god-awful run. I have a slight moveset and item overhaul. I have Rock Slide, Rock Polish, Dig, and Return. Plus, I am holding the Rock Incense. I actually purchased this item earlier in the run. This will boost the power of Rock-type moves by 20%, which was actually needed when I was doing damage ranges. And after the Spiritomb is knocked out, I can defeat the Lucario with Dig, and then one-shot the Melodic with Rock Slide. Then on the Garchomp, I go ahead and switch over to Return, and it actually gets a critical hit and it dies in one hit. I actually expected that to live, which is kind of what I expected in calculations. But then guess what? The Roserade is a one-shot with Rock Slide, and the Togekiss is obviously going down to a Rock move. And after the Togekiss goes down, Bonsly finally clocks in, with a real time of 4 hours, 3 minutes, and 29 seconds, with 10 resets, 31 blackouts at level 95, with a game time that is clipping off of my overlay of 12 hours and 26 minutes. Yeah, this is now the record for the worst playthrough I have ever done in Pokemon Platinum. If you take a look at my leaderboard, Bonsly got last place. Bastiodon literally did around an hour better. And I feel like I could have played Bastiodon a little bit better. That just shows you how bad Bonsly was. And you may be saying, like, didn't you waste your time with the EV training because you were paranoid? No, I did the ranges here. If I had had, like, let's say 130 attack EVs from like a standard playthrough after I use a few proteins, it was basically improbable that I would even finish the Cynthia fight. It would pretty much be improbable. But if I do the EV training, then it'll be just fine. I mean, my EVs weren't exactly perfect. I could have had 252 attack EVs to get one extra stat point, but I don't think the extra stat point really mattered. But I will say though, having the extra defense, it was something I hadn't planned for in my calculations, but it really did help in the league, so it was definitely worth it. But anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed what I think was probably the worst playthrough of this month so far, even worse than Plusle and Minen. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more, and be sure to follow me on my socials or support the channel through YouTube memberships. YouTube members get access to the patch files for all the backport Pokemon we do on stream. That is the end of Platinum for this month, thankfully. And tomorrow, we're actually going to be going into Pokemon White version 2, Challenge Mode. We're going to be playing the game with Heat more. This is a pretty interesting Pokemon. I've never used this on a team as a kid. I wonder how it's going to do. But anyway, thank y'all for watching, and I'll see you later as we continue Daily December.